Can a team like Ferrari, with two of the best pilots in the world, reach Hungary with more doubts than certainties? What is failing when you have talent, history, and potential, but the results do not arrive? Ferrari also faces problems with the degradation of tires. While McLaren has managed to maintain effective thermal management even in extreme conditions, the SF25 tends to overheat its rear compounds in long batches, especially when it follows other cars. This compromises the career strategy, forcing early stops or a more conservative driving that limits overtaking options. And finally, in the aspect of development, Ferrari has been slower than its competitors in introducing key updates. While McLaren and Mercedes have brought complete aerodynamic packages in the first 6 races, Ferrari has opted for a more conservative strategy, hoping to consolidate data before implementing major changes. The SF25, in short, is a potential car. But that potential is trapped after a curtain of technical fragility, tactical indecision, and still incomplete adaptation of their two main pilots. In Maranello, the human factor has always been as decisive as aerodynamics or motor power. Ferrari is not just a team, it is an institution full of history, media pressure, and national passion. And in that context, integrating two pilots like Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, with such different personalities and trajectories, has generated a complex ecosystem that still does not find their balance. What should have been an explosive combination of talent and experience, for the moment it has resulted in a subtle but palpable tension. Instead of creating a clear synergy, the team has tried to satisfy both at the same time. This has resulted in a constant dilemma in technical decisions. Prioritize the development directorate that favors the aggressiveness of Leclerc or that which allows Hamilton to feel more connected to the chassis. The answer, until now, has been a hybrid mixture that does not finish satisfying any. Hamilton, meanwhile, has adopted a position of respect but also tacit leadership. In interviews he has suggested that he is here to transform the team, not just to add podiums. He wants to leave a technical and cultural footprint. He has been seen speaking extensively with Vasseur, asking for additional technical sessions and reviewing data at night, something unusual for his stage in Mercedes. But that intensity has also generated friction. Some members of the Italian staff have expressed that their presence, although professional, has altered internal dynamics. Its way of demanding rapid changes, of pressing for immediate solutions, contrasts with the most slow and reflective method that has characterized the Ferrari technical department. The team's address is in many ways trapped between these two worlds. Frédéric Vasseur, who was responsible for bringing Leclerc to the F1 and has now opted for Hamilton, faces the challenge of managing two leaderships that, although not confrontational, compete silently for the soul of the team. Vasseur needs to demonstrate that Ferrari is not hostage of any personality, but at the same time he must make decisions that inevitably incline the balance. Each test session, each technical update, each adjustment is an implicit message of who is listening to the equipment. The result of this tension is not necessarily negative. In fact, in certain contexts you can raise the competitive level. But when it is not channeled properly, it can lead to internal fragmentation that erodes collective performance. Ferrari, throughout its history, has lived these situations. The battle between Prost and Mansell, the silent rivalry between Schumacher and Irvine, the tension between Alonso and Massa. The challenge for 2025 is to prevent this story from being repeated. Hungary, due to its technical configuration and strategic demand, can be a turning point. But for that to happen, Ferrari needs more than a competitive car. He needs a unified voice, a clear direction, and emotional leadership that he has not yet found. Only then can they fight again for isolated victories, but for a championship that has been elusive for more than a decade. Hungary is not simply another career in the calendar. It is, historically, an emotional and technical thermometer for many teams that arrive in the middle of the season looking for answers. And in 2025, for Ferrari, it represents much more than an opportunity. It is a crossroads where the team must demonstrate if it has the temper, clarity, and technical ability to reverse its narrative before the summer break. The Hungarian race arrives at a crucial moment, with McLaren marking the step, Red Bull resisting with an inspired Verstappen, and Mercedes stalking with a car that has risen under specific technical conditions. Ferrari, on the other hand, arrives, urgently and with the spotlights pointing directly to their decisions. The importance of Hungarian layout for Ferrari lies in its configuration. The Hungarian circuit is one of the most technicians in the calendar, with a constant succession of slow and socks that require surgical precision in each stage of the return. It is a clue where traction and curve output, braking behavior, and rear axle stability are more relevant than pure power or high-speed aerodynamic efficiency. It is the ideal place for cars with good balance and slow curve, and traditionally, Ferrari has given well when his technical concept was solid. This year, the SF25 will arrive with a crucial update, a new specification of the rear diffuser, designed to improve aerodynamic stability in braking and in passing through medium curve. This piece, developed in the Maranello wind tunnel since the beginning of May, introduces a redesigned profile with a higher central volume, allowing a better extraction of the air flow from the bottom of the car. In theory, this should reduce overcrowding in curve entrance and help pilots gain confidence in the most technical sequences of the circuit. Along with this, Ferrari will also introduce a lower evolution in the rear suspension, seeking to improve absorption in potholes and reduce the rebound in curves such as 4 and 11, two of the most demanding of the Hungarian layout. But the technique will not be enough if it is not accompanied by strategic execution without errors. Ferrari has failed in key moments this season not due to lack of speed, but for lack of career reading. In circuits where undercut or overcut have been effective, Ferrari has doubted. In changing track conditions, they have taken to react. In Hungary, where historically traffic, tire management, and the choice of the exact moment to stop can decide the final result, there is no margin for hesitation. Vasseur and his team must prepare a flexible strategic plan, anticipating multiple scenarios and putting together Leclerc and Hamilton with personalized simulations that allow them to adapt on the fly. Hungary will also be a test for the human factor within the team. In this type of circuit, where the rhythm per lap does not depend so much on the peak speed but on the consistency, the pilot's confidence in the car is fundamental. If Leclerc manages to recover sensations and feels safe on the front train, it could meet its most incisive version, which was seen in circuits such as Monaco or Abu Dhabi the previous year. On the other hand, Hamilton has demonstrated throughout his career that it is especially strong on tracks where rhythm management, tire and track space define the race. In that sense, Hungaroring is a fertile terrain for its methodical and cerebral driving style. Both pilots have tools to shine, but they need a predictable car and a wall that does not hesitate. Internal level, Ferrari has prepared a complete technical concentration in Firen before GP. The objective has been to analyze in detail the limitations they faced in Austria and Belgium, where the configurations did not generate the promised stability. In this concentration, not only track engineers have been involved, but also those of aerodynamics, suspensions and data analysis. Specific simulations have been carried out with historical data of the Hungarian layout, adjusting the setup parameters in the Maranello simulators, in sessions led by the pilots themselves, to find a more robust base tuning. But perhaps the most relevant is that Hungary represents the last real opportunity to change the momentum before the summer break. If Ferrari does not achieve in this circuit a solid minimum podium result or a frontal fight for the victory, the team's narrative will be defined by frustration and confusion. Entering the pause without a clear consolidated improvement signal will mean a complete rethinking for the second half of the championship, from development priorities to the possible reconfiguration of the technical role between its two star pilots. And now what? That is the question that the entire paddock, the press and millions of fans worldwide are asked when seeing the current state of Ferrari. What follows for a team that has everything: resources, talent, history, media power, but still translated into titles? Hungary represents a rupture point. If Ferrari leaves Budapest with empty hands, with a car that does not behave, with frustrated pilots and with erratic strategic decisions, not only will he have lost one more race, he will have lost another opportunity to revalidate his position as a legitimate contender in this modern era of Formula One. What is at stake is not simply a sum of points for the construction championship or an individual classification in the pilot table. What is at stake is the story, the narrative that will accompany Ferrari throughout the summer break. If the team manages to react, if you get a podium, a pole, or even a victory, then you can sell before yourself and the world as a team that found its path, which it rectified in time, which is in the right direction. But if the current pattern is repeated, if the errors persist and the results do not arrive, the story will become a slab. A symbol that, even with two superstars behind the wheel, Ferrari is still caught in his own ghosts. And this is where you, as a spectator, have an important role. Because beyond the show on the track, Formula One also lives from narratives, debates, of the ideas that are born among those who follow it with passion. What do you think of this Ferrari moment? Do you think Hamilton was the right piece to complement Leclerc, or was an emotional commitment rather than rational? Do you think that the SF25 has a real potential that has not yet been unlocked, or is it simply another case of technical overpromise? Who do you think should lead the development from here on? Leclerc with your internal or Hamilton knowledge with your experience of 7 championships? And most importantly, do you see Ferrari recovering the path of the championship this year? Or are we facing another season of silent reconstruction that will only be recognized as such in retrospect? Leave me your answer below.